Thanks for tuning in to Look at My JPEG, the podcast that discusses NFT, DeFi, and NFT financialization. This is your host, Xerox Jose, the founder of NFTperp. The reason why I want to do this podcast is because there's just not enough people talking about NFT financializations. In this podcast, you can expect us to invite guests that are builders, founders, even investors that are deep in the NFT financialization space. We'll discuss their story, what they're building, and how you can get involved. So thanks for tuning in. Hey, GM.
GM, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very, very good, man.
So I think Protect has been on the pod. I think you guys were like one of our first
Yeah, actually.
guests.
Yeah,
Like
for
second or
Protect
third
Labs,
episode.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, it was like a while ago.
Yeah. So it's only natural
Obviously a
that
lot has
Protectorate
happened.
came on.
Yeah. We haven't talked about Protectorate since you guys launched.
hmm
So obviously a lot has happened.
Yeah.
Uh, Love to do a catch up on, over the last, gosh, it's been a year, or maybe it's more than that.
Yeah, for labs, it's been quite some time, but Protectorate has pretty much it launched let's say, well, early July is when we did the public sale. But
Yeah,
the actual protocol itself and the product launched shortly before that, maybe like a few weeks before that. So yeah.
yeah. Okay. So why don't we for those that are listening, maybe learning about you guys for the first time, give us a quick intro
Yep.
of yourself, and tell us like what Protect Labs is
Yep.
doing, Protector Protocol, and then we can kind of like fast forward to what we're doing, what you guys are doing right
Yeah,
now.
a million percent. I'm very happy to, and overall, like super, super excited to dive into this and help maybe the NFT community itself kind of familiarize itself with what we're doing. So basically, to help with distinguishing the two, and we're actually working on a way to do this more publicly so that it's known. Because like a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I thought Protect didn't have a token or whatever." It's like, "Oh, well, it's two things." So okay, so Protect Labs is basically a research-driven algorithmic liquidity provider for NFTs. That's the simplest way to describe like who we are and what we do. So Protectorate Protocol is effectively an incubated protocol by Protect Labs. So you have, I guess you could say, one private element of what we do that's solely research driven and again private. It's not really like public information. Kind of think of like consensus, right? And one of their products being MetaMask. That's probably the best way to look at it. Um, Hopefully MetaMask token, right? But so Protectorate as a whole, right, is designed to be this permissionless liquidity layer for NFTs. And the idea is it's driven by the PRTC token and ultimately powered by the Protectorate DAO. So rolling out decentralized governance by the end of the year, and that should be really fun. So without further ado, maybe like to explain what it is that Protectorate protocol itself is up to and why we're here to talk about that today. One of the most recent launches has been ZAR, and it's been probably our most innovative and revolutionary product to date. It's an interesting experience having basically created the product and then launching it within like 6 weeks from ideation. So that's been like a massive W for us as a team. So yeah, we wanted to basically start jumping on with our partners and friends to kind of start czar pilling the communities we're associated with, so to speak.
Yeah, I appreciate it. The color there. So tell us more about ZAR. What does it do? And or when did you guys launch it?
Yeah. So Zara launched a couple weeks ago now. I think we're going on just about 3 weeks. So basically, Zara is effectively a new way to trade NFTs, right? In a way that pretty much was never really imagined or intended to be the case for trading NFTs, which is like in a peer-to-peer mobile experience and fashion. So typically how we're used to trading NFTs by nature is like logging on to OpenSea or Blur, for example, and being able to trade it there with with ease, with quote unquote ease, by just connecting our wallet, signing tons of messages proving that we own the wallet, signing approval messages all day long, and yeah, like that's the nature of which I guess you could say we've become complacent in trading NFTs, right? It solely relies on you mostly, at least for the vast majority of time that NFTs have existed in the current state, has relied on somebody being at their desk or wherever it is that they have their laptop with them, logging onto these marketplaces because they're mostly designed for like a web app UX. And then yeah, if you're on the road or something like that, or if you're AFK, you're pretty much shit out of luck. So the idea is ZAR kind of like flips the entire NFT trading experience on its head by allowing for a truly and purely mobile first experience by building an NFT marketplace on Telegram directly, but not necessarily changing the way that you would trade on, say, OpenSea, Blur, X2Y2, LooksRare, etc. Right? It basically aggregates all of these liquidity sources, and actually more than 150, using Reservoir protocol, and allows anybody to trade pretty much any NFT and actually sort by verified collections as well at their fingertips. And being able to do it, it doesn't matter if they're, at a wedding or, on the shitter, So that's kind of that was pretty much the inspiration behind, ZAR, and why we wanted to make it with truly like the left curve citizens in mind.
Yeah, 100%. It's like you're allowing the boyfriends, the dads to be on their phone more often at dinner, yeah, like watching TV and trading shit coins. Look, I've been there. I've traded. I spent a lot of time on Dex Screener on my
Haven't we
phone
all?
and on Uniswap trading shit coins 3 a.m. in the morning on my phone, or I could be driving to the gym and holy shit, something's pumped 10%. I gotta stop the car real quick and like dump my positions. I've done
That is
that.
exactly
There's no shame
why
in
we
that.
built it.
So, I'm glad you guys are leaning into
Yeah.
it.
That is exactly why we built it. Like literally exactly what you said has been like we realized that there's so many opportunities that are missed by simply being AFK, and we realized, okay, like why have an experience? Why have so much money tied up in NFTs, but only be limited to being at your desk or having your laptop on you and having a hotspot working or something like that? When you need to dump your position or when you need to size into a position because you realize, oh shit, like this is pumping, right? So ZAR allows you to do that, and in such a way where it's not just, I guess you could say this, the initial iteration of ZAR is basically, anybody with an understanding of how NFT marketplaces work, this is, the very basic iteration of ZAR, right? It's just another marketplace as of right now, but completely different experience from a user experience side of things because it's mobile friendly and it's extremely fast. Like if anybody listening right now has ever tried it, or if you haven't tried it yet, you need to, because it will literally
Yeah,
knock your
game
socks
changer.
off. Yeah, yeah, literal game changer, right? So it is by far, and I will make this official claim. I literally don't care, and I'm happy to go toe to toe with them on this. It's literally the fastest and smoothest way to trade NFTs. It's faster than OpenSea. It's faster than Blur, and it's literally all done via your phone. So you don't need to waste time setting up email notifications and expose yourself to that type of risk. Where, say, your SIM swapped or something like that, or something of yours gets compromised. The only source of information or source of communication, I should say, you can rely on is email from whatever marketplace you're working with. It's literally as simple as getting a Telegram or WhatsApp message. So we've just launched notifications as well. So the idea is now you can follow different wallets. So say like you want to follow me trading, or you want to follow Magnus, or you want to follow an NFT perp trader that's printing, but they're they also have spot bags, right? You could plug in their address, and every single thing that they do, particularly in this iteration, buying, you can follow and size in accordingly if you'd like manually. But an interesting feature is dropping next week, which takes this to the next level. So yeah, I know it's been a mouthful, but yeah, exciting times.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. This is really interesting. And as we're speaking about different sim swaps and whatnot, I think it's a good segue into maybe like you don't have to give us a secret sauce, but walk us through what the technical architecture of czar would look like when user it's a bot. So when you interact with the bot, like what happens? How do you set up a wallet? Do you own the wallet? Do you have the private key? Can you import a wallet? How do you handle all these different intricacies of of
Yeah.
OPSEC?
So I think it'll be appropriate to drop some technical and like security alpha on this, and maybe this is valuable for everybody listening. But I guess from a technical architecture perspective, it's really interesting because like Magnus, who's here with us as well, describes and actually talks about a lot. Like Telegram is this super app, right? And it's basically provided a really interesting platform for which you could do incredible things. So utilizing this, right? And the first way that we've seen it utilized is for shitcoins and in general notifications prior to that. But now, being the first NFT trading bot, you could say, right? The idea is like pushing the envelope and really taking it to its fullest extent, right? Using the Telegram architecture. So from a security perspective, which is arguably the biggest concern, right? And walking very briefly through the user flow, when you log into Czar, a wallet is immediately generated for you, in which you will control the private key as well. And the idea is that we have now created similar to like a centralized exchange experience, but on Telegram, where you're still trading on chain and on mainnet, but in order to conduct or execute any action on chain, you need to set up, or you don't have to, but like we obviously recommend that somebody sets up like an alphanumeric password, which we give users the option to either set up at launch or set up later and even deactivate later if they don't want to have it anymore, right? This is going to be largely treated as like a hot wallet as opposed to like a cold wallet for users. But the idea is the alphanumeric password throws in a really interesting element because it's not something that we store or can even see. So it's pretty much, it allows this quote unquote hot wallet to be rug proof since no on chain execution or action can be executed unless the alphanumeric password is entered. So it can be alphanumeric, it can be purely numeric, or it can be purely alphabetical. So that's one interesting innovation that we've developed using Telegram bots that doesn't currently exist today outside of like, for example, Unibot Cloud, quote unquote, where passwords are basically stored there and off of Telegram. So
Yeah, one thing I
that's
would add, guys, actually, with that alphanumeric password, we basically put it there in the sense that even if say, like the key would get, because the alphanumeric password actually adds an extra layer of encryption, and because only you know it, say if something gets compromised, even if that key was to become, into someone else's hands, it basically has that extra layer of encryption. And unless they have that alphanumeric password, those assets are effectively safe. So I hope that actually gives some more like context in terms of like the safety as well, because we're trying to
Yeah,
think about that because
yeah.
Telegram is notorious for it, but I know this was something that will evolve over time. But yeah, that's something that we thought we'd try to sprinkle some extra safety on as well.
Got it. And you mentioned when you first sign on, you get automatically generate a wallet for you. Um, do you also get to import your own wallet into the bot as well?
right now you can't import, but you can eject the wallet by like viewing the private key. Where I mean that's an interesting piece of feedback actually, where we can actually allow for people to basically import their own wallets if they'd like. The helpful part about generating a new wallet, even though it is like what's the best way to say? It is added management for the user, I guess, even in a minimal capacity. It does help kind of abstract away from maybe their main accounts, which gathering feedback from our private beta testers and people even using mainnet, um, or at least the public launch, I would say, like has been helpful to abstract away from like say somebody's primary wallet that they want to kind of like, I guess you could say, move activity away from and move into say like having a czar specific wallet where it's maybe more degenerate or a little bit more left curve citizen esque.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think for this, it's better to sort of like silo it slightly away because the whole experience is a lot more seamless, right? And to reiterate like what like Omnia said before, the reason why it's a lot more seamless is because the amount of actions that you need to take is like a fraction compared to what you need to do on the web app. So
Mm.
like, we make that experience easy for you guys. We are security conscious. We do know that there are some trade-offs, but
Yeah.
if we can silo away that risk without compromising the bulk of your assets, we definitely feel that that's the way to go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, let's segue a little bit into the user experience, like trading on ZAR. Like, what does that look like? What are people loving about ZAR so far from your beta testers and people and since launched? And you mentioned earlier on there's notifications, which I think is really cool
Yeah.
because NFT markets, move quite a bit sometimes. I guess right now it's not so much. Since the Flowing Labs launch, we've seen some movements, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen a little, recent, maybe a couple of weeks ago when the pudgy Walmart news came out, and then it pumped a lot, and obviously like the some of the history of Luca also create some price action movements, if you will.
Yeah, that was
And
interesting.
yeah, Flooring Labs now it's out. There's a bunch of different collections that are pumping left and right. Like I'm on Blur right now, and I can see potatoes are
Yep.
pumping. I can see the memes, meme land, the
Yep.
captains.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what they're pumping. It would be good to know, like
I think
when
the
these
farming's
things
live
are
now, isn't it?
moving.
Something like that.
What's that?
The farming is live now, I believe.
Oh, I suppose,
Yep.
yeah. Like I would love to get notified when price go up or go
Yep.
down. So what are you guys working on to kind of like make that user experience
Yep.
seamless?
We've basically built a pretty robust notification system. Maybe I'm being a little too modest, but the idea is that this notification system basically allows people to track any sort of wallet activity, primarily buys at initial, iteration. This is literally like a 24-hour-old feature. So for example, I've plugged in Matchy's wallet into, into my own Telegram, how I use R, right? So I've been getting notifications all night long of like Machi aping some new weird ass projects, and it's literally when it's not tracking when an NFT enters a wallet, it's tracking when a wallet actually buys an NFT. So you can kind of count on it to be scam proof because how, we've all gone through it. Literally, I can guarantee every single person on this call that's ever owned an NFT has gotten some sort of scam, you know, Polygon airdrop NFT or something like that that shows up in your hidden tab on
Oh,
OpenSea. So
yeah.
it helps to not be able to.
The spam
Yeah,
NFTs,
yeah,
man.
it's not going to pick up spam NFTs. It's literally detecting when that wallet executes a trade on chain, and it's so
Yeah,
snappy.
just
It's
actions
so
in which the
fast.
user initiates, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's ridiculously fast. So to go back to your feedback question, like what's been some of the most incredible feedback that we've gotten has literally been mostly UX related, like incredibly surprising how fast it is. You abstract away the need to approve, since basically the approval is being done by the entry of your alphanumeric password, which is way faster than analyzing what gas you need to spend to approve. Do I send it on instant gas fees? Do I set it on low gas fees because gas is too expensive right now or something like that? So it's almost like it's almost like an instant approval, and you separate the waiting time and then the actual time it takes for the UI that you're on, whether it's OpenSea or Blur, X2Y2, LooksRare, etc. You separate the time that it takes for those UIs to reflect that it's been approved, and then another transaction pop up where you then need to go through the same exact process again of choosing your gas settings, checking the dollar amount you're about to spend, and then clicking approve, and then again waiting as you near a heart attack to see if your NFT transaction went through or not, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been like in despair when Genie existed, right? And they had this, prior to it becoming Uniswap NFT, and they had this gas protection or MEV protection feature where it was super, like, I mean, it was uber expensive, right? Number one. And number two, it was incredible to see that sometimes the transactions would fail because of all the volume that would happen, right? With ZAR, we've literally
Hmm.
made by default every transaction protected by MEV since we're routing through Flashbots. So that's number one. And our next idea is basically going to be aggregating different MEV protecting RPCs so that it's not dependent on one single source. So some of this feedback has been pretty incredible. I mean, mostly, like I said, UX related, but yeah, it's been pretty sick. Magnus, did I miss anything like regarding UX feedback so far?
Geez, I mean, I think with the notification side, like just to kind of elaborate on it a little bit more, like one thing that I think is a bit of an unlock that people kind of like underappreciate, and like, you know, you put up an offer, you don't know if it gets filled, right? So a bid, right? And then even if you put up like a sale order or whatnot, you have no idea when it gets filled. So even something as simple as that, just to have like a little bit of a change, like we just feel like these little things that like we're trying to do will just add up over time, just to make like trading NFTs a little bit easier for you guys, you know? And that's
Yeah.
pretty much our intent.
Yeah. So super. Thanks for kind of walking us through all of that. I think it's incredible. I think when you put on the lens of a user, and the more you're able to speak with them, the more, really groundbreaking features you can introduce, and just kind of easing the trading experience for different people. So yeah, hats off to you guys for coming up with these incredible features.
Thanks,
What
man.
are some of the upcoming developments at ZAR and Protectorate you guys are excited about? And then also, I suppose, like, one thing I haven't asked about, like, what does a fee look like
Yeah.
trading on ZAR? What is like the business model, and how does it tie into? You guys have a token.
Yeah.
It's called PRTC. How does it tie into the entire
Yeah.
ecosystem?
That's arguably the most exciting part for some. So, I guess it's definitely worth diving into that and explaining in further depth how that ties in, right? So the first and foremost, I guess it's worth mentioning how ZAR currently exists right now from a fee perspective is that it's a 1% all-in fee, right? Where basically a 1% fee is assessed on both buys and sells. So when you're buying, the way that it currently exists, and especially since we went from ideation to execution very fast, the most simple way to implement having a fee where the protocol makes money for such a unique service is by basically quoting 1% higher when you're viewing ZAR NFTs. So technically, when you're trading NFTs on ZAR, it'll show you the current floor price, but it will actually explain to you that you will pay a fee of 1% higher, and it'll detail that exact fee in ETH. So it makes it feel, I guess, slightly less painful since you're not seeing it in dollars. But the point is, the 1% fee is assessed and communicated very clearly as opposed to folded in. On sales, you'll also be assessed a 1% fee, but that will come from the proceeds of the sale. So it's not felt as much. But we're making some really interesting headway on how to kind of improve the amount of fees that users actually pay. And the biggest way that we'll actually do that is in the future actually moving to our own order book. So currently the way that it exists is that orders are being executed, or I should say routed, on all the various order books that exist. So for example, if the best liquidity is on SudoSwap, it'll execute the order there. If the best liquidity is on X2Y2, Luxor, Blur, OpenSea, etc., it'll execute those orders based on the global liquidity available for whatever NFT anybody is trying to buy or sell. And this is also supported for both listings and bids as well. So all of the functionality exists on ZAR in the Telegram app directly. So that's first and foremost. Now, when we're able to move to our own order book, the fees that users will pay will drop drastically, number one. And number two, the royalty policy will be much more refined, because how it currently exists today, which is obviously a big pain point for creators and users as well, because the biggest thing is the fact that royalties are quite massive on certain marketplaces that enforce them increases the spreads, right? And that's a little bit of a difficult pill sometimes to swallow for users. We'll be able to have a much more refined royalty policy. We take a very neutral approach to how that works right now, especially with ZAR. And what I mean by that is that the royalty policy in which users will have to abide by is based on the marketplace in which their order is executed on. So if the best liquidity is on Blur, then the royalty policy on Blur will be adhered to. And the point really is for the user to kind of be abstracted away from the process of having to figure out where's the marketplace they're going to pay less on, and more so about delivering the best possible experience and the highest return for the user by that we mean like sourcing the best liquidity for them, right? So whether it's the lowest price to buy the NFT itself, if you just care about a floor piece, or it's about getting the highest return by sourcing the highest bid without having to sweep across 7 different marketplaces with your own eyes. So I hope that makes sense from a fee
Oh,
perspective.
actually, one thing I did want to point out as well, guys, anything that's routed through ZAR, we're providing incentives. So just keep that in mind as well.
Oh, so as in like if you're purchasing and selling through ZAR, you get incentives?
Basically, we've dedicated 10% of total supply, which comes out to roughly right now, like on a USD value amount, roughly $800,000 initially in ZAR incentives that are distributed in OPRTC, which is our incentive token. It's effectively a call option on PRTC as opposed to like a naked incentive. Where, yeah, if it's exactly like the way that one of our products right now, the ETH capsule works, where for depositing and having that sticky TVL, people are earning OPRTC by the second in real time by having deposited in our ETH capsule. So that's helped to kind of help, I should say, stabilize and get liquidity sticky. So the same thing exists for ZAR. The biggest, I guess you could say, learning curve has been actually educating people on ZAR, the fact that it exists, and getting more users. So yeah, there is an active incentive program right now to trade there.
That's cool. How do you price the OPRTC?
Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting mechanism, right? The idea is to kind of usher in the era of options liquidity mining and usher out the death of traditional liquidity mining. So the way that options right now, or the call option technically, is priced for OPRTC is like an interesting mix of an option and a bond. An option because it has an expiry, and a bond because it's more so like time weighted, and you get a discount based on the amount of time you wait to exercise that option. So the way that it currently exists, at least conceptually, because it has to be actually built out, which is next on our development roadmap, is at the time of claiming rewards, basically a snapshot is taken where the market price of PRTC is determined, and you can wait up to, say, 60 days to exercise that claim basically on OPRTC. And based on the market price at that time, you'll receive the max discount of 50%. Now, the risk that the user takes in doing that, and why it's kind of game theoretically aligned with the further success of the protocol and, how should I say, like the actual reward that the user does get, is that the longer you wait, the larger your discount, right? So it's all time weighted. So that's an interesting way that we kind of help to prevent sell pressure while still incentivizing usage, because that's the biggest problem for protocols that incentivize these days, right? I mean, look at Blur, right? I mean, it's happened in real time where the price is dumped to 80, 90% because the tokens were immediately available and there was no incentive for people to actually continue to do their normal responsible, to say the least, actions.
Yeah, to do their
Yeah,
thing.
do the thing. To do the thing, right? So the idea is one interesting way that the protocol also benefits from options or call option PRTC is that people have to actually pay the difference from a discount perspective in ETH. So for example, say I earn $1,000 in PRTC, in OPRTC rewards, and I wait 60 days to claim that PRTC or exercise, quote unquote, that option. I'll have to pay 50% of the value of that PRTC, or $500 in ETH, in order to receive $1,000 of PRTC, right? So technically, it can be an immediate $500 profit for the user, but the protocol is able to subsidize or make money, you could say, on actually emitting some of these incentives, as opposed to having to write it off 100% of it, which is typically what's happening as a customer acquisition cost.
Right. Oh, this is really interesting.
Yeah, it all feeds back into the protocol anyway, so it's very like trying to sort of like Omnia said, minimize the sell pressure that like puts on it for like the traditional liquidity mining, like rewards that come from liquidity mining. And just try to find ways to sort of feed everything back into the protocol. So we're trying to have like a bit of a flywheel, so to speak. So
yeah. So what are some of the other DeFi protocols that's doing similar O token type of incentives?
The most notable being Tapioca, which is about to come out, and it's like a pure options token. a little bit more complex and actually really, really inspiring because it's tied directly to the usage of the protocol and long-term alignment. The other one that comes to mind, which we also took some inspiration from, is Timeless Finance, or Bunny, as OLIT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
OLIT, yeah.
But it's more of a bond than an actual option because there's no expiry, and there's pretty much like a set discount at the time of claiming. And I believe, if I remember correctly, it's purely time weighted, right, Magnus?
Yeah, from memory, it's purely time weighted.
So it's more of like a bond than an actual option, but kind of just like they say it's an option token, you know?
Yeah. Okay, that's super interesting. I'm gonna look into we've been, and this is probably like a large major alpha. We're working on our incentive model for NFT perp as well. And I probably shouldn't talk about this, but
okay, right?
We're working with the 1KX team pretty closely on the incentive model, and like we're also like weighing between different type of options. And we have talked about O token, but not in this detail. Yeah. So this is very, very helpful.
Yeah, happy to chat async about it as well.
We can
really
interesting. We can take it. Yeah, when we take it offline, we can take
it. Yeah.
Sorry, guys, we can't leak too much.
But interestingly enough, we are. I mean, pre-alpha is always good alpha, right? So next week we're announcing the biggest tokenomic upgrade since our, I guess you could say, since our birth. So we're going on 4 months now since TGE, and there's been a lot of thought into what we're about to release, but it's going to be a game changer, to say the least. We're reintroducing a model that is honestly extremely underutilized and extremely underappreciated, and it's going to kick off a really, really, really interesting flywheel, given that the protocol does generate revenue from multiple sources now. OPRTC will be like the fourth revenue stream for Protectorate. So that will only feed into this flywheel. So we're really, really excited for, early next week when we kick this off. So it should be sick.
Okay. All right, look forward to it.
Yeah.
These are some of the exciting things that we really look forward to, as a partner of you guys. And so, like, last questions, like you mentioned, we can go through the incentive model a little bit too. Mm-hmm. Like, when someone like exercises the call option, what is the ETH going to go to? And when you charge it a fee of 1%, like what does that go to right now?
Yeah. So the way that the revenue is actually split up, and this will actually be detailed in an upcoming post with the way that the tokenomics are being upgraded. But again, pre-alpha, let's get it. So like the way that the revenue is going to be distributed going forward is 50% of the ZAR fee, so 50 bips of any trading volume done on ZAR, goes directly in the form of ETH to XPRTC stakers. So that's first and foremost. Following that, 25 bips or like 0.25% goes towards the Protectorate treasury, also in the form of ETH. And then the remaining 25 bips is going to this insane tokenomics upgrade that we can't title just yet.
The pre-alpha tokenomics.
Yeah. So that's going to be going to it's going to be basically fuel to kick off this pretty ridiculous flywheel. So the more details on that, but basically 3 splits or forms of distribution. It's heavily weighted towards XPRTC stakers, since they've been, they're obviously aligned with the protocol. There's no lock on the token now. So it's pretty much liquid staking. You can just stake and unstake as you please. But what we found to be really interesting is that there's nearly a fifth of the circulating supply right now that's been staked, and it's just pretty much on a weekly basis, if not sometimes daily, hitting new all-time highs. So we're seeing more and more tokens staked. So that's really, really interesting to see. So yeah, hope that helps.
Yeah. All right, appreciate the pre-alpha. Sorry, I'm like juicing everything out of you guys.
No, please.
No, it's all good, man.
Continue to juice.
We can share with you later.
All right. Cool. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. Is there any other things that you want the listeners to know about before we wrap it up?
I think that's pretty much it. First and foremost, if you aren't already using ZAR, highly encourage you to do so for your NFT degeneracy.
At ZAR Trading Bot. At ZAR Trading Bot on Telegram.
Yeah.
But if not, just reach out to us on Discord, or there's a Telegram group as well. Either one of those is fine. But yeah, give it a go. We'd love to hear your feedback. If there's any sort of like changes and inputs that you guys feel that would make it an even stronger product, let us know as well. We roll out features week by week, to be honest. So we can push out a lot of improvements very rapidly as well. So yeah, just let us know, guys. We're very open to trying to make it like the absolute best like NFT trading experience as possible. So you can literally do everything while taking a dump.
There's like we really see ZAR as like such a super app. Protectorate as a whole, right? Like the idea and the premise of the protocol is meant to be like a central source of liquidity for like all things NFT finance. So one of the biggest things I guess you could see, like just looking out into the future and zooming out a bit, is right now it's just NFT trading, like spot NFT trading. But one thing that we really are pretty incredibly excited about, especially when it comes to actually building our own order book for ZAR, so we can help provide like better execution for users, because we want to make it like a full service experience, right? Is that can you imagine in 2021, 2022, like peak retardation for NFT trading, if everything was done mobilely and you were able to basically take the loans out and repay loans against your NFTs like directly on Telegram? So lending is a big thing on our roadmap. And this is obviously extremely ambitious, but if we were to incorporate derivatives somehow in the future, like routing, for example, nftperp, or then even something like options using Wasabi, all on the app itself, and just using those underlying protocols as an engine, I mean, that's ridiculous, like potential, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it should be very possible with SDKs and APIs available.
Yeah.
It's just like how do you tie it all together so it's a really good user UX?
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, like there's not going to be a way to get like charts and stuff until we do like some form of web app, which is absolutely on the development roadmap for us. But like, again, like
we'll get there.
We'll get designed for the truly left curve. Like imagine, you know, your grandpa that loves a Bored Ape, right? And he's like, I'm going to go 10x long on this shit, Skippy. And then, you know, that's it. He just wants to know when it's up and close the position. He doesn't care about the chart. He doesn't care about the funding, you know.
You know, people like back in the day literally call their brokers on stock exchanges and like make trades that way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure this will do.
Oh, yeah, exactly. This will definitely do. So
it's a little bit better.
Imagine with the notification system, how powerful would it be if like somebody's like, your position's 100% up on 10x leverage. Here's your margin. You know, like really, really simple. Yeah. And then using nftperp as the underlying, you know, part of it. And it's so helpful for our partners too, because imagine you guys wouldn't even have to develop a mobile app. It exists already using Telegram architecture and security and whatnot. So anyway, this is like very wet dream talk. So
yeah. Actually, one thing I will point out, like just as a little cherry on top, we are actively seeking, like pursuing that route of decentralization, right? And, you know, basically, I'll just drop it, like in terms of like use, like imagine being able to have a slice of owning a marketplace that's truly decentralized, right? So we are actively trying to take that route, and yeah, hopefully you guys can partake in all that.
Hell yeah, yeah. We're here to try new things and really push things to the new frontier, and you know, these are some of the things that we're very excited about as well.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Appreciate you having us on, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having us. Thanks for coming on to the show again, and I'm sure we'll do a third episode.
Absolutely.
In a few months.
Absolutely. Count us in, sir.
Yeah, sounds good. When you actually leak that alpha, right? When you're ready.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you again.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Peace, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to Look at My JPEG podcast. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your audio podcast from, give us a like, a subscribe if you like the content, and we'll see you in the next episode.